Hari Hari Krishna Hari Krishna 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 Hari 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 Rama 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 Rama
Hari 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 Krishna
Hari
Hari
Krishna
Krishna
Hari
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna Hari 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 Rama 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 Hari 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 Krishna Krishna
Hari Hari Hari
Krishna
Rama
Hari 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 Rama Hari Rama 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 Hari Hari Krishna 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 Hari 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 Ram Ram Rama Hari 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 Krishna 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 Hari 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 Rama 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 Hari 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 Krishna 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 Hari 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 Rama 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 Hari 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Krishna
Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama
Krishna
Hare Krishna
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 Hare Rama
Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna
Chaitanya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Nityananda
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Krishna 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 Krishna
Oh, Krishna.
Krishna, 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 Krishna.
Oh, my Lord, Krishna. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna,
Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna, 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 Krishna,
Oh Krishna,
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 Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Radhe, 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 Radhe,
Radhe, Radhe,
Radha, 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 Radhe, 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 Radhe,
Radhe, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe, 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 Radhe,
Oh my God.
Radha, 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 Radha,
Oh.
Radha, Radha,
Radha, Radha, Radhe, Radhe, Radhe,
Radha,
Radhe,
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 Vrindavan Vishvari, Vrindavan Vishvari, Vrindavan Vishvari, Radhe, 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 Krishna, 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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama
Krishna,
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Rama Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare.
Krishna,
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 Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
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 Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
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 Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare,
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
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 Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Krishna, Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare
Krishna
Rama, Rama
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna, Hare
Rama
Hare, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Rama,
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 Rama Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama
Hare
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare
Rama,
Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Radha,
Krishna, Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Radha,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Radha,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Radha,
Rama, Hare Hare,
Rama
Radha,
Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Radha,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna,
Rama, Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Krishna,
Rama,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare
Krishna
Rama,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare,
Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Krishna,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare,
Krishna,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Jai
Rama,
Jaya Sri
Rama
Chaitanya,
Rama, Hare
Jaya Nityananda,
Hare.
Jaya Sri Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda,
Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda,
Jaya Jaya Sri
Jaya Sri
Chaitanya, Jaya
Chaitanya, Jaya
Nityananda,
Nityananda,
Jaya Sri
Jaya Sri
Advaita.
Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Oops, what happened here? Mhm. Okay. Hare Krishna. Ah, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Good morning, everybody. Let's see here. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Let's see here. Chapter 10. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts prasadam from his devotees. And this is Anchalila, chapter 10. Let me offer my respectful obeisances. Let me offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is always pleased to accept anything given with faith and love by his devotees, and is always ready to bestow mercy upon them. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. The next year, all the devotees were very pleased to go to Jagannath Puri, Nilachal, to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Advaitacharya Goswami led the party from Bengal. He was followed by Acharya Ratna, Acharya Nidhi, Srivas Thakur, and other glorious devotees. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had ordered Nityananda to stay in Bengal. Mhm. Oops. Uh, but nevertheless, because of ecstatic love, Lord Nityananda also went to see him. Indeed, it is a symptom of real affection that one breaks the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not caring for the regulative principles, to associate with him. It's interesting, huh? During the rasa dance, Krishna asked all the gopis to return home, but they neglected his order and stayed there for his association. If one carries out the order of Krishna, Krishna is certainly pleased. But if one sometimes breaks his order due to ecstatic love, that gives him millions of times greater happiness. Vasudev, Dutt, Murari Gupta, and Gangadas, Sriman Sain, Sriman Pandit, Akincha, Sanjaya, Purushottam, Bhagavan, Pandit, Suklambara Brahmachari, and Nishinga Nanda Brahmachari, and many others joined together to go to Jagannath Puri. It would be impossible to mention the names of them all. The inhabitants of Kulanagram and Kanda also came and joined. Shivananda Sain took the leadership and thus started taking care of all of them. Raghava Pandit came with bags of food prepared but nicely by his sister Damayanti. Damayanti made varieties of unparalleled food just suitable for Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu to eat. The Lord ate it continually for 1 year. I'm just going to read a few of the names because there are a whole chapter of them. These are some of the names of some of the pickles and condiments in the bags of Raghava Pandit. Amra Kasandi, Ada Kasandi, Jala Kasandi, Nimbu, Ada, Amri Akoli, Amsi. Yeah, maybe mute your mic there.
Oh, sorry, Maharaj.
It's okay. Damayanti also made dried bitter vegetables into a powder. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he extracts the purpose from everything. He accepted Damayanti's affection for him, and therefore he derived great pleasure even from the dried bitter leaves of Sukuta and the Kasandi, a sour condiment. Because of her natural love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Damayanti considered the Lord an ordinary human being. Therefore, she thought that he would become sick by overeating, and there would be mucus in his abdomen. Because of sincere affection, she thought that eating this sukata would cure the Lord's disease. Considering these affectionate thoughts of Damayanti, the Lord was very pleased. A dear lover strung a garland and placed it over the shoulder of his beloved in the presence of his co-wives. And the raised breasts were very beautiful, for its value lay not in material things, but in love. Damayanti powdered coriander and aniseeds and cooked them with sugar and made them into sweetmeats and sweet balls. Yet although the garland was tainted with mud, she did not reject it, for its value lay not in material things, but in love. That's the essence, really, isn't it? Yeah, that's why this spontaneous love is a gift, and worshiping the Lord with this love is the most pleasing to the Lord, and millions of times greater than just the material objects or just offering like things, just ritualistically. But this spontaneous love, just by chanting the Lord's name, offering the name, and the awakening of ecstatic devotion pleases God millions of times more. And then we start to know what liberated souls understand, that the Lord's happiness and the Lord's love is his love, is his happiness. And it's very simple like that, it just the Maya just clears. You realize, oh, okay, yeah, I see. It's all about, the Lord's pleasure, and he's pleased by these loving dealings from his awakened devotees. Yeah. I could not mention all the names of these wonderful eatables, even in a lifetime. Damayanti made hundreds and thousands of varieties. Damayanti made all these preparations following the order of her brother, Raghava Pandit. Both of them had unlimited affection for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and were advanced in devotional service. Damayanti took earth from the Ganges, dried it to a powder, and strained it through a fine cloth and mixed aromatic ingredients and rolled it into small balls. Boy, it goes on and on and on. At the same time, all the devotees from Bengal arrived at the lake and had a great meeting with the Lord. All the devotees immediately fell at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord lifted and embraced every one of them. The Gaudiya Sampradaya, consisting of all the devotees from Bengal, began congregational chanting. When they met the Lord, they began to cry loudly in ecstatic love. Because of the pastimes in the water, there was great jubilation on the shore, with music and singing, chanting and dancing, and creating a tumultuous sound. Yeah, the Lord says only with his devotees does he spread this Sankirtan movement. See, only with them. See, and that, in other words, if there's a real intimate associate, it's it's the Lord and that devotee spreading the real Sankirtan movement in the world. Because without ecstatic love, nothing is really that important to God. It's these loving relationships that make it important. It's the only reason why he came into this universe, his shadow, as Nrsingadev, because his devotee called him Prahlad, because of his ability to worship the Lord with loving ecstasy. So if anything's going to be done in this world to reverse what's going on now, this horrible evil thing, blatantly evil thing, it's going to be the devotees calling the Lord and him coming and taking care of it. Yeah, because it's too powerful. This is what we read in the Bhagavatam, like in the 10th canto, and time when Hiranyakashipu was here. He had tremendous power, and he took over the whole universe. Same thing with Kamsa. He got together with a bunch of kings, and they took over the world. They just, they made a pact. And the same thing now, all the kings of the world, the leaders, they got together and they made a pact to do what they're doing, to change the whole system into a totalitarianism. In other words, the few free people and the slaves. So who's going to help? So this is the way to do it, And the devotees are peaceful. Prahlad was very peaceful, even though, it's all gravy, for a devotee, just worshiping the Lord in ecstasy. And whatever happens. But the Lord, because of his devotees worship, he'll come and he does things. He likes to show his prowess. He likes people to see that there is a God. Ultimately, you know how many atheists there are nowadays? So many. They don't believe that there is a God. I was listening to this UL guy from Israel, and real demoniac mentality. It was really, it was interesting how he thought. He says, the time is finished for believing in the gods in the clouds. He said, no, now God in the cloud is going to be in the cloud, the computer cloud. That's going to be the God of the world, controlling the world, the God in the cloud. So arrogant. I couldn't believe it, man. Just so blatant. But that's what they get. They get puffed up. Yeah. So these crisis times are it's in a sense it's an amazing time. It's a time you see miracles happen. Already we see many things happening in the world, many strange events. Yeah. So it's interesting, just at least there's some action. Otherwise, kind of boring. The world, the way it was pretty boring, actually. Everybody is just, they're not, so many people not interested in God. They just interested in, making money, materialistic things, being comfortable in the world. They're not interested in using. See, like we just read, Krishna sees the purpose of everything. See, that's why we need to become devotees, because then you start to see the purpose of everything, see the purpose of human life. The purpose of human life is not to sit here and develop our senses and sense enjoyment. The purpose of human life is to develop our liberated consciousness, to know who we are, to realize that we're not this body, we're not even the material emotions or the material mind that comes and goes, that we actually have a spirit. I mean, that's really the essential purpose of this world, but a lot of people don't know that. They're taught some other goals in life are important. See, but the Lord and his devotees, they see the purpose for everything, the essential purpose for everything. Yeah, and then we have the scriptures to back it all up. This is all taught in the scriptures. Human life is very rare and should be used for that end. And eventually, whatever time you're born into, there's always going to be this cycle. See, this cycle where the demons get very powerful and then they want to just make you a slave. Nobody wants to be a slave. Okay? You would have to be insane to want to be a slave. See, but this is just how it is. The modes of passion and ignorance get so strong that they take over. Because if you're in a mode of goodness, you think more of freedom, more freedom. You're more empathetic towards others. You have more the higher qualities. But that's still not. It's not enough, because you're still in this universe. You're still covered by the false ego. Okay, you still identify with the body as the self. Okay? And so anyway, we got to have our spiritual bodies awakened, and this is how we do it. Okay? Very simple method. Come into the association of devotees. Only with them are they performing, is the Lord performing the real Sankirtan movement. So all of ISKCON and all of these groups, they have to come into this kind of association with real devotees who are real associates of the Lord to connect with this, and then relish this kind of happiness and this kind of freedom of the soul, sovereignty of the soul. See, we're only sovereign in the Lord. See, that's where true sovereignty is. We're not sovereign in the government. You notice the people, they depend on the government too much. They may have to depend somewhat, but if you have all your dependence and your faith in the government, which is basically representing the Lord's Maya, and what happens is you lose your sovereignty. That's one of the lessons of Maya. If you learn from the devotees how to trust in God and who God is and who you are, see, and then you'll regain your true spiritual sovereignty in that Lord. And that's all that is real in this world. Even in this world, it's all coming and going and temporary stuff. So everybody needs to regain their sovereignty in the transcendental Lord. See, they'll feel that you experience your sovereignty. You're free. They can lock your body up here. They can control you and everything. Try to put fear in you and all that stuff, but they can't do it because you know who you are, and you're you know who God is, and you're connected there forever. So I don't know. This is where it's going, and if you want to go, otherwise. So many people are being taken out now, one after another. Man, it's snowballing, the amount of people that are dying already from that vax thing. It's so obvious, and it's amazing how dumbed down people are. It shows you the Maya is so strong. People have been dumbed down. They can't even put one and one equal two and one and one together. One and one, this and this, you put it together. People can't even, the masses can't put it together. Why they're having a heart attack 2 weeks or a year after this at an age of 37 or 40. They can't put it. Yeah. I mean, it shows you the illusory potency is very strong. Because of the pastimes in the water. Oh, yeah. The Gaudiya Sampradaya, consisting of all the devotees from Bengal, began congregational chanting. When they met the Lord, they began to cry loudly in ecstatic love. And that happens, when we're chanting the Lord's name. That's meeting the Lord. When you start to cry in ecstatic love, there you go, man. Liberated person. Aren't you lucky? It's that simple. So all you people in any religious group, when you chant the Lord's name, when you think about God like that, do you sometimes cry? Does it bring tears to your eyes? Does it melt your heart? If not, well, come over here, man. Well, that's what we do. See? That's really the only hope, is this. See, when you meet the Lord, they met the Lord physically. The Lord was actually here in person, human-like form. They would meet and they would cry. If you develop that ability, then you're qualified to go into the Lord's pastimes. Because when you'll meet, now you've already developed, from my meeting his name is the same as him. Now you're already attracted. And then, you're part of you're a devotee now. So we're making real devotees here. But if you spend all your life in religion, in ISKCON or Gaudiya Matha Smiti, and you're not crying, because when you chant the Lord's name, then you're not qualified to meet the Lord. I mean, you're just still, you're in process. Who knows how many lives it'll take you to get that bond of love to where you start crying in ecstasy, meeting the Lord. Okay? So what is the purpose of our society here, of Lord Chaitanya's Amazing Grace Place? Is to basically to get people to cry when they meet the Lord through chanting. Yeah. And that happens naturally. Your vibration is brought up and into the God vibration, into the frequency, that frequency, just by being with real devotees here. I feel my voice, I'm a little bit weak today. I don't know, it's just it's a sickness thing. Yeah, see, so when they met the Lord, they would cry loudly in ecstatic love. See, ecstatic love. That's what it's all about. That's the Hare Krishna movement. Yeah, that's why people, if you haven't heard about that, the Hare Krishna movement is about ecstatic love and chanting the Lord's name and ecstatic devotion awakening. This is the new teaching. Then, I mean, it's right there in the book. I mean, a devotee sees that and says, "Oh yeah, that's the way it is. That's how it should be." That's proof that you're, a real Vaishnava, associate of Lord Caitanya, if you love him. And that's a symptom of love, crying in ecstatic love, or laughing, or many other beautiful symptoms. Can you imagine you spend your whole life in religion and you don't cry when you chant Hare Krishna? You know how many leaders are like that still? It's a shame, isn't it? Hey, it doesn't have to be that way. So anyway, the message goes out: if you want to be free, and sovereign, that sovereignty is in accepting the path of ecstatic love. That's being offered now. Chapter, I think 3 or 4, Adi Lila, Lord Chaitanya said he came into this world to accept the path of ecstatic love. See, he accepted it from his guru. His guru was an ecstatic guru. He came to accept. So that's the example. People that are in this world, those who are more intelligent by the virtue of the Lord, will accept the path of ecstatic devotion. If you want to be a progressive Vaishnava. Otherwise, you stay on that ceremonial level and you'll do your rituals and everything, and you won't cry in great ecstasy when you're chanting the Lord's names and pastimes. So, Indeed, the chanting and crying of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas mixed and created a tumultuous sound vibration that filled the entire universe. Okay, you start reading a little bit there, River.
Which text are you on, Maharaj?
Let's see. Text 48.
48.
Yeah.
Okay, Maharaj. Thank you. Indeed, the chanting and crying of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas mixed and created a tumultuous sound vibration that filled the entire world. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the water with his devotees and began his pastimes with them in great jubilation. In great jubilation. In his Chaitanya Mangala, now known as Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur has given a detailed description of the activities the Lord performed in the water. There is no use in again describing here the activities of the Lord. It would simply be repetitious. I would increase the size of this book. After concluding his pastimes in the water, Lord Govinda returned to his residence. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the temple, taking all his devotees with him. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to his residence, after visiting the temple of Jagannath, he asked for a large quantity of Lord Jagannath's prasadam, which he then distributed among his devotees so that they could eat sumptuously. After talking with the devotees for some time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them to accompany the individual residents in which they had lived the previous year. After talking with all the residents for some time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them to accompany the individual residents in which they had lived the previous year. Raghava Pandit delivered the bags of eatables to Govinda, who kept them in a corner of the dining room. Govinda thoroughly emptied the bags from the previous year and kept them in another room to fill them with other goods. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went with his personal devotees to see Lord Jagannath. When Lord Jagannath arose early in the morning. Okay. The next day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went with his personal devotees to see Lord Jagannath. When Lord Jagannath arose early in the morning. After seeing Lord Jagannath, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his all-encompassing Sankirtan. He formed several groups, which then began to chant. In each of the 7 groups was a particular dancer, such as Advaita Acharya or Lord Nityananda. The dancers in the other groups were Vikshva Pandit, Achyutananda, Pandit Srivas, Satya Raj Khan, and Narahari Das. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walked from one group to another, inspecting them. The men in each group thought, the Lord is within our group. The congregational chanting made a tumultuous roar that filled the sky. All the inhabitants of Jagannath Puri came to see the Kirtan, accompanied by his personal staff. The king also came there and watched from a distance. And all the queens watched from the elevated parts of the palace. Due to the forceful vibrations of Krishna, the entire world began trembling. When everyone chanted the holy name, they made tumultuous sound. In this way, the Lord had congregational chanting performed for some time, and then he himself desired to dance. The 7 groups began chanting and beating their drums in seven directions. And Sri Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began dancing in the center in great ecstatic love. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remembered a line in the Orisen language and ordered Srivas Damodar to sing it. Let my head fall at the feet of Jagannath in the Kirtan hall known as Jagamohana. Jagamohana. Simply because of this line, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing in great ecstasy, ecstatic love. People all around him floated in the waters of his tears. Raising his 2 arms, the Lord said, chant, chant. Floating in transcendental bliss. The people by chanting the holy name of Hari. The Lord fell to the ground unconscious, not even breathing. Then suddenly he stood up. He stood up, making a loud sound. The hairs on his body constantly stood up, like the thorns on a simula tree. Simula tree.
Simul chi, I think.
Simul tree. Thank you.
Something like that.
Sometimes his body was swollen. And sometimes lean and thin. He bled. He bled and perspired from every pore of his body. His voice faltered, unable to say the line properly. He uttered only Jaga. Oh, I don't know what that Jaga. JJ Jagapari.
Jaga gamumu muls.
Can you just say that again, Maharaj?
Jaga gamumu. I don't know how to say that. Who knows?
JJ Jagapari. Anyway. Mumu. Okay. All his teeth shook, as if each was separate from the other. Indeed, they seemed about to fall to the ground. His transcendental bliss increased at every moment. Therefore, even by mid-afternoon, the dancing had not entered the ocean of transcendental bliss. Overflowed, and everyone present forgot his body, mind, and home. Then Lord Nityananda found a way to end the Gita. He gradually stopped all the chanters. Thus only one group continued chanting with Swarup Damodar, and they chanted very softly. Maharaj, does Shama want to read? Maharaj can't hear me.
I didn't. You just continue reading.
Okay. When there was no longer a tumultuous sound, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to external consciousness. And Nityananda Prabhu informed him of the fatigue of the chanters and dancers. Understanding the fatigue of the devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stopped the congregational chanting. Then he bathed in the sea, accompanied by all of them. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took prasadam with all of them, and then asked them to return to their dwellings and take rest. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lay down at the door of the Gambara, and Govinda came there to massage his legs. It was a steady, long-standing rule that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would lie down to rest after lunch, and Govinda would come to massage his legs. Then Govinda would honor the remnants of food left by Sri Chaitanya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Excuse me. This time, when the Lord lay down, he occupied the entire doorway. Govinda could not enter the room, and therefore he made the following request. Govinda said, kindly turn on one side. Please let me pass to enter the room.
Isn't River the worst reader? I mean, she can't even say a sentence straight.
Govinda made his request again and again, but the Lord replied, I cannot move my body. Govinda repeatedly requested, I want to massage your legs. Then Govinda spread the Lord's wrapper. Is that wrapper his? Then Govinda spread the Lord's wrapper, his body in this way. I can't read it. Wait a minute. Then Govinda spread the Lord's wrapper, his body, and in this way entered the room by crossing over the Lord. Okay. Govinda massaged the Lord's legs as usual. He pressed the Lord's wrists and back very softly, and thus all the Lord's fatigue went away. As Govinda stroked his body, the Lord slept very nicely. Nicely for about 45 minutes. And then his sleep broke. When Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu saw Govinda sitting by his side, he was somewhat angry. Why have you been sitting? Why have you been sitting for so long today? The Lord asked, why didn't you go to take your meal after I fell asleep? The Lord asked, how did you enter the room? Why didn't you go out to take your lunch in the same way? Govinda mentally replied, my duty is to serve, even if I have to commit offense or go to hell. I would not mind committing hundreds and thousands of offenses for the service of the Lord. But I greatly fear committing even a glimpse of an offense for my own self. I would not mind committing hundreds and thousands of offenses for the service of the Lord. But I greatly fear committing even a glimpse.
Oh my God, I find it hard to believe he was that bitey.
It's really.
Oh my God, man! This did he really? Was he really like that? Offenses. Speaking of offenses,
Sannyasi Maharaj. They were fighting.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just interesting. It's just, yeah. I mean, he's thinking, offenses for me and me. It's so mental. I mean, spontaneous devotees. To be thinking like that is just a job, think the offense for me, and this is okay, and this is the rule, and that, and all those kind of things, man. Just offenses. What kind of offense can you do if you have the association of Lord Caitanya? And that's the same thing here. What kind of offense? I mean, here, if you can chant the holy name with ecstatic devotion, that means the Lord has given himself to you. What do you even think of offenses and you do this or don't do that? Or, the main thing is to continue cultivating this relationship, like you're doing here, reading. I mean, and to read like this, you see anybody in the world reading like this except in our Sangha? Nobody reads like this. This is how rare this mercy is. It's so rare. People will look at this. Vaishnavas in ISKCON, or they go, "What are you doing? What is that? Why are you reading like that? Why are you chanting and laughing and crying? Why? What are you doing?" By the way, this is real Krishna consciousness. This is how it started. It's been forgotten. It's meant to be like that. That's how you get delivered. You got to come to that stage. Well, our gurus never teach that. Well, nothing I can do about that. You can come here and learn something new. Learn what real Krishna consciousness is simply like this. Sit there and read and laugh and cry and relish and these the words of these are all transcendental qualities of God. They got to, if you have some attraction and some connection, they produce symptoms, because God is God. His energy is his qualities are him. You're going to, can you imagine, what do people think when you have an encounter with the real God? That it's not going to produce something? This is having encounters with the true Lord. It produces an experience. And these kind of symptoms, transformations in the body and the emotions. This is an advanced stage of Krishna consciousness. Yeah. See, I remember she wanted this. She says, I really want, God, I'm really jealous of these other devotees who have it. But that's how you get it. It's the greed. She really wanted, and Krishna took her seriously. And she still complains. Still, I want more. It's not enough. But that's it. It's called greed. There's no other way, And I mean, this is the greatest blessing to even hear a reading like this. It's to see devotees in ecstasy. It's so rare. So anyway, we're here at the right time. The world's changing, man. Big time. And fast. Yeah. Go ahead, continue on.
It's all guidance from you, Maharaj. I will continue. It's all guidance, your patience, your time, your teaching, your showing. I've never had a teacher like that, ever, in any place. This is the greatest teacher. You have given the greatest gift to us students. We are your students, and we know how great you are because of what you've given. I'm your fan. I'm a groupie. Go for good.
Watch out, Andromeda. I might smirk again.
Yeah. Okay, carry on reading
Whatever you like.
Okay, yeah, this is great.
I'm listening. I'm just going to move around a little bit.
Thinking in this way, Govinda kept silent. He did not reply to the Lord's inquiry. It was Govinda's practice to keep lunch when the Lord was asleep, to take lunch when the Lord was asleep. On that day, however, seeing the Lord's weariness, Govinda continued massaging his body. There was no way to go. How could he leave? When he thought of crossing over the Lord's body, he considered it a great offense. There are some of the finer points of etiquette in devotional service. Only one who has received the mercy of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu can understand these principles so true. The Lord is very interested in manifesting the exalted qualities of his devotees. And that is why he engineered this incident. I'm the engineer of everything. Thus I have briefly described Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing in the hall of Jagannath Temple. These servants of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu sing about this dancing even now. Thus I have briefly described Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu's dancing in the hall of the Jagannath Temple. The servants of Sri Jagannath Mishra sing about this dancing even now. Accompanied by his personal associates, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu washed and swept the Gundichi temple, cleansing it as usual. The Lord danced and chanted, and the Lord danced and chanted, and then enjoyed a picnic in the garden as he had done before. As previously, he danced in front of the Jagannath car and observed the festival of the Hara Panchami. Is that right? Hara Panchami. All the devotees from Bengal stayed in Jagannath Puri for the 4 months of the rainy season and observed many other ceremonies, such as the anniversary of Lord Krishna. Excuse me. Formerly, when all the devotees had arrived from Bengal, they all desired to give Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu something to eat. Each devotee would bring a certain type of prasadam. He would entrust it to Govinda and request him, please arrange that the Lord would surely eat this prasadam. Some bought peda, a coconut preparation. Some bought sweet balls. Some bought cake and sweet rice. The prasadam was of different varieties, all very costly. Govinda would present the prasadam and say to Sri Chaitanya, this has been given by such and such such and such devotee. The Lord, however, would not actually eat it. He would simply say, keep it in storage. Govinda kept accumulating the food, and as soon as it filled a corner of the room, there was quite enough to feed at least 100 people. Okay. All the devotees asked Govinda with great eagerness, have you given Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the prasadam bought by me? When the devotees questioned Govinda, he had to lie. He had to tell them lies. Therefore, one day he spoke to the Lord in disappointment. Many respectable devotees, headed by Advaita Acharya, make a great endeavor to entrust me with varieties of food for you. You do not eat it, but they ask me again and again, how long shall I go on cheating? Cheating? How shall I be freed from this responsibility? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, why are you so foolishly unhappy? Bring here to me whatever they have given to you. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down to eat. Then Govinda offered him the preparations one after another. And as he did so, he spoke the name of the person. He spoke the name of the person who had given each one these preparations: pada, sweet rice, cakes, meat made with cream, and also amrita, gutika, manda, and a pot of camphor have been given by Advaita Acharya. Next, there were varieties of food: cakes, cream, amrita, manda, and padmanchi, given by Srivas Pandit. All these are gifts of Acharya Ratna. All these are gifts of Acharya Ratna. And these varieties of gifts are from Acharya Nindi. All these varieties of foods have been given by Vasudeva. Buddhimantakon. These are gifts given by Sriman Sen, Srimas Pandit, and Nanda Acharya. Please eat them all. Here are the preparations made by the inhabitants of Kulyagram, and these have been made by the inhabitants of Kanda. In this way, Govinda gave everyone's name as he put the food before the Lord. Being very satisfied, the Lord began to eat it all. Oh. The hard sweets made of coconut, mukta, narikela, the sweet balls, the many kinds of sweet drinks, and all the other preparations were at least a month old. Oh wow, a month old. But although they were all old, they had not been tasted, or they did not become tasteless or stale. I'm going to read that one again. Oh. The hard sweets made of coconut, mukta, nerakela, the sweet balls, the many kinds of sweet drinks, and all the other preparations were at least a month old. But although they were old, they had not become tasteless or stale. Indeed, they had all stayed fresh. That is the mercy. That is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Within a very short time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate enough for 100 people. He then asked, is there any more left? Govinda replied, now there are only the bags of Raghava. Okay. The next day, while taking his lunch in a secluded place, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu opened the bags of Raghava and, and inspected their contents, one after another. He tasted a line of everything they contained and praised it all for its flavor and aroma. He tasted a little line of everything they contained and praised it for all its flavor and aroma. All the varieties of the remaining prasadam were kept to eat throughout the year. This is we have to become devotees and there's no food. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate his lunch, Svarup Damodar Goswami would serve it little by little. Sometimes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would take some of it at night. The Lord certainly enjoys preparations made with faith and love by his devotees. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent the entire period of Chaturmasya, the 4 months of the early rainy season, in the happiness of discussing topics of with his devotees. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent the entire period of Chaturmasya, the 4 months of the rainy season, in the happiness of discussing topics of Krishna with his devotees. From time to time, Advaita Acharya and others would invite Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for home-cooked rice and varieties of vegetables. They offered pungent preparations made with black pepper, sweet and sour preparations, ginger, sultry preparations, lime, milk, yogurt, sugar candy, 2 or 4 kinds of spinach, soup made with bitter melon, eggplant, mixed with nimba leaves, and fried patola. They also offered pulya badi, liquid mung dal, and many vegetables, all cooked according to the Lord's state. They would mix these preparations with the remnants of food from Lord Jagannath. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the invitations, he went sometimes alone and sometimes with his associates. Devotees like Acharya Ratna, Acharya Nindi, Nandana Acharya, Raghava Pandit, and Srivas were all of the Brahmin caste. They would extend invitations to the Lord. Vasudev Datta, Gadahari Das, Moari Gupta, the inhabitants of Kulyagram, and Kanda, and many other devotees who were not Brahmins by caste would purchase food offered to Lord Jagannath and then extend invitations to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. When Shivananda brought his son, Chaitanya Dasa, to be introduced to the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired about his name. When the Lord heard that his name was Chaitanya Das, he said, "What kind of name have you given him?" It is very difficult to understand. When the Lord heard that his name was Chaitanya Das, Oh, I've read that one. Shivananda Sain replied, "He has kept the name that appeared to me from within." Then he invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for lunch. Shivananda Sain had bought very costly remnants from Lord Jagannatha's food. He bought it in and offered it to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who sat down to accept the prasadam with his associates. Because of Shivananda Sain's glories, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate all kinds of prasadam to honor his request. However, the Lord ate more than necessary, and therefore his mind was dissatisfied. The next day, Chaitanya Dasa, the son of Shivananda Sain, extended an invitation to the Lord. He could understand the Lord's mind, however, and therefore he arranged for a different kind of food. He offered yogurt, limes, ginger, soft bada, and salt. Seeing all arrangements, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the boy knows my mind. Therefore, I'm very satisfied to accept his invitation. You want to read? Okay.
Continue reading.
Oh, I don't want to be selfish. Okay. Okay, Mark. After saying this, the Lord ate the rice mixed with yogurt and offered Chaitanya Dasa the remnants of his food. The 4 months of Masya passed in this month, with the Lord accepting invitations from his devotees. Because of a heavy schedule of invitations, however, some of the Vaishnavas could not get an open day on which to invite the Lord. Even every month, Gadaha Pandit and Sarvabhuma Bhattacharya had fixed dates on which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would accept their invitation. Gopinath Acharya, Jagannanda, Keshasvara, Bhagavan, Ramabhadra, Acharya, Sankara, and Vikshasvara, who were all Brahmins, extended invitations to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and offered him food cooked at home, whereas other devotees would pay 2 panas of small conch shells to purchase Jagannath's prasadam and then invite the Lord. At first, the cost of Jagannath prasadam for an invitation was 4 panas of conch shells. But when Ramachandra Puri was there, the price was cut in half. The devotees who came from Bengal stayed with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for 4 consecutive months. And then the Lord bade them farewell. My boy. After the Bengal devotees departed, the devotees who were the Lord's constant companions at Jagannath Puri stayed with the Lord. Thus I have described how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted invitations and how he accepted and tasted the prasadam offered by his devotees. Okay, in the midst of that narration are descriptions of Raghunath Pandit's bag of food and the dancing in the temple of Jagannath. One who hears about the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with faith and love will certainly attain ecstatic love for the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without fail. Narrations of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Prabhu's activities are just the nectar to hear, are just like nectar to hear. Indeed, they satisfy both the ears and mind. One who tastes the nectar of these activities is very fortunate. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya following in their footsteps. The end of that chapter.
Yeah. That's what it's all about, man. Relishing the nectar. Yeah. See, one who tastes this nectar is most fortunate. Yeah. The most fortunate. Yeah.
You know, Maharaj, there was one time, a few times actually, when I was still going through quite a lot of purification. I couldn't appreciate my ecstasy enough. Lalita would say to me, Yamuna, you got more than most people in the world. Look what you've got. Going through more clearing.
Yeah.
I understand that completely, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Completely,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the whole purpose of Krishna consciousness. If you don't get this ecstasy, you haven't really perfected it. You just this is where you start to perfect it. Is you just yeah. It's a great mission we've got here for our own benefits and the benefit of others. Everyone wants to climb on board. You know, they can. Yeah. I'll try reading it a little bit more, and otherwise I'll just have to stop a little bit. Yeah, my body's a bit got some kind of flu or something. Okay, let's see here. Let's have some philosophy here. Canto 10. Let's see what else we can find here. Hare Krishna. Rukmini's message to Lord Krishna. Chapter 52 of Canto 10. So do you have that book there, Shamaguri?
Which one is it?
It's Canto 10 of the Srimad Bhagavatam?
No.
No, okay. Do you have that in front of you, River? Yeah, okay. You start reading.
Rukmini's message to Lord Krishna. Sukadev Goswami said, my dear king, thus graced by Lord Krishna, Mukunda circumambulated him and bowed down to him. Then Mukunda, the beloved descendant of Ishvaku, excited through the month of the cave. Exited.
Exited.
Sorry. Sorry. Exited through the mouth of the cave, seeing that the size of all the human beings animals, trees, and plants were severely reduced. And thus realizing that the age of Kali was a hard time, Mukunda left for the north. The sober king, beyond material association and free of doubt, was convinced of the value of austerity. Absorbing his mind in Lord Krishna, he came to the Gandhamdana, I don't know that. Actually, I do. Gandhamdana mountain.
Yeah, God, yeah, or something like that.
Okay, Maharaj. There he arrived at Bhadrakashram. Bhadrakashram, the abode of Lord Kashram.
Bhadrak Ashram.
Bhadrak Ashram. These long words, Maharaj, takes me a while. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. The abode of Lord Narayan, where remaining tolerant of all duties, he peacefully worshipped.
Dualities.
Okay. Maybe I should read now.
Just read. Oh, correct.
Okay. The Lord returned to Mathura, which was still surrounded by Yavanas. Then he destroyed the army of the barbarians and began taking their valuables to Dwarka. As the wealth was being carried by oxen and men under Lord Krishna's direction, Jarasundha appeared at the head of 23 armies. O king, seeing the fierce waves of the armies, the enemy's army, the two Madhavas imitating human behavior, ran swiftly away, abandoning the abundant riches, fearless but
feigning.
What does that mean?
Pretending to be afraid.
Okay. Abandoning the abundant riches, fearless but feigning fear. They went many yojanans on their lotus feet. Yojanas. Yeah. They went many yojanas on their lotus-like feet. Go away, laughing.
Just do it. I don't care. Laugh and just try your best.
When he saw them fleeing, powerful Jarasandha laughed loudly and then pursued them with charioteers and foot soldiers. He could not understand the exalted position of the two lords. Apparently exhausted after fleeing a long distance, the two lords climbed a high mountain named Paravasana, upon which Lord Indra showers instant rain.
Incessant rain.
Yeah, of course. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Although he knew they were hiding on the mountains, Jarasundha could find no trace of them. Therefore, O king, he placed firewood on all sides. Firewood on all sides and set the mountain ablaze. The two of them suddenly jumped from the burning mountain, which was 11 yojanas high, and fell to the ground. Unseen by their opponent or his followers. O king, those two most exalted Yadus returned to the city of Dwarka, which had the ocean as a protective mount. Unseen by their opponent or followers, O king, those two most exalted Yadus returned to their city of Dwarka, which had the ocean as a protective moat. Jarasundha, moreover, mistakenly thought that Balaram and Keshava had burnt to death in the fire. Thus, he withdrew his vast military force and returned to the Magadha kingdom. As ordered by Lord Brahma, Raivata, the opulent ruler of Anatha, gave Lord Balaram his daughter Ravati in marriage. This has already been discussed. O hero among the Kuras, the Supreme Lord himself, Govinda, married Bhishmaka's daughter, Vadabari.
Vadarbi.
Could you say that again?
Vaidarbi.
Varadabi. Who was a great expansion of the goddess of fortune. The Lord did this by his desire, and in the process he beat down Shalva, and other kings who took Shishpala's side. Indeed, as everyone watched, Sri Krishna took Rukmini, just as Garuda bodily stole nectar from the demigods. King Parikshit said, the Supreme Lord married Rukmini, the beautiful faced daughter of Bhishmaka, in the Rakshasa style.
Rakshasa style.
Rakshasa style.
Yeah.
Rakshasa
I think we'll finish this a little bit later. I think I need to lay down a little bit.
Okay, Maharaj.
Yeah. All right. Hey, thanks everybody for coming. And we did 2 hours too still. All right. Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I'll see you a little bit here. Thank you for coming. Haribo.
Haribo. Hare Krishna Gurudev.